So today we have the distinct pleasure of visiting with a truly unique Cordial endorsing artist. Born in Belgrade, Serbia, and raised in a musical household, Ana Popovic is not just another blues guitarist. Her mastery of the instrument combined with classical music training results in an interesting combination of fire and control. Multiple albums, shows, nominations, and awards later, Ana has become an iconic artist in her own right. We welcome her to our little burg as she passes through town for a show. Please welcome Ana Popovic.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, we are so happy that you're here. So
awesome.
Yeah, it's really, really great. So let's get right into it because I know you've got a show to do. So you've been traveling a lot lately. I read on your website something like 2,500 shows in 20 years. Tell us what you've been doing lately.
Well, lately we are back on the road, which is great after the pandemic, and we just love it. You know, I have an incredible band on both sides of the ocean, and I'm just so happy to be able to perform with them and play new stuff. We've been recording during the pandemic new songs that sound so different than everything I've done before, and that's basically been my motto for my whole career. I just don't want to repeat the records. I do something and then I want to find a new inspiration and do something totally different. And it's always wonderful when that really happens. You know, when still after 20 years, which was during the pandemic was my 20 years anniversary since I formed my band. I never had a different job. You know, I started playing music when I was in high school and I was always touring, you know, whether Serbia or Holland or America, but I'm always so happy when there is new inspiration in music for me. And of course, blues only take you so far, but really the art is to find ways to still play blues and still play the blue notes and still play the pentatonic scale and kind of push the borders of your sound and find something new for your audience that's been around for 20 years, right? So it's like, how are you gonna have them still excited? They want them to come back and buy tickets and buy your records and always come up with something new.
I really noticed that in the cuts that, as I did my research, that you took songs into places that I really didn't expect them to go. And especially with your completely badass band, when you guys get to a certain spot in those songs, I'm expecting something, and that's not what comes out. It's something completely unique, and I love that.
Yeah, well, I spend a lot of time, you know, finding the way to front an incredible band, an incredible, you know, musicians that went through my band at every stage were just amazing. You know, we just had this incredible pleasure to have one of the best drummers in the world for about 3-4 months with us on tour, Chris Coleman. And, you know, you get so much inspiration from them. We got an incredible young drummer right now with us. All of the musicians are just top notch, and it's just wonderful to be first a woman leading this band and getting the best out of these players. You see, I always think that one of my strengths is that I can front a great band, and no matter what kind of a player in my band, at the certain times I can get out the best of him. He might not be, you know, names I mentioned, they can play anything, but even people that can't play everything, I can take that very thing that they can do really good and make that into a feature. And I love to feature them, as you've seen on my DVD. I love to give them all their little moment and more than one. Yeah. And just feature these incredible musicians that I want them to feel free to play my songs the way they feel them, and at the same time I need to be in control.
Yeah. I'll put a woman in charge. That's the motto today.
That is
sung by our friends in the Ace of Cups. It's a great tune, and I that's my motto nowadays too, because I think that should happen more. So let's go back to your childhood in Belgrade, and I read a bit about your upbringing with your musical family, and your father plays, and I know you got to do some music with him too. So tell us about growing up in Belgrade and how that influenced you to be the player you are now.
Music at all times, during the day, loud and good, And my father used to say, if you haven't heard about the band, that's probably because you don't have to hear about that band. I gave you I gave you insight into everything that's good. He's not too far off, you know. He's not too far. He's just has still a great taste in music, and you know, I was exposed to great blues, jazz, funk, soul in a very early age. And obviously he didn't play everything that was out there, but he was pretty close. And I'm just, you know, you can only be grateful, you know, growing up in Belgrade, Serbia, and just being exposed to great music at the right time. You know, you can't start too late with that. You can't, if you want to be a musician, that is, you need to start at an early age so it can be, you know, it can become a part of you. Especially music genre that I decided to do, which is rock and blues and guitar influenced music, and then relocating here in order to play for the Americans. You know, you gotta at the same time know what you're doing, and at the same time you bring something new to the table, not just copy. So, you know, we just listen to great stuff. Our house was full of art, and we were just finding inspiration in music, movies, art, paintings, whatever, you know, whatever was there. And I think that was their way of also keeping us sane from all the crazy political situation that was going on there. That was our little oasis, you know, where we would just come back 11th floor of a, you know, huge building, and we would just jam and talk music and love music. And yeah, it was just, I have the most wonderful memories of my childhood.
That's fantastic. Mm-hmm. Speaking of that, I know your dad was a huge influence on you, but who were your other influences? I've always been curious as to who you listened to growing up.
I listened to a lot of guitar players, you know, Buddy Guy and you know, Clapton and Steve Ray Vaughan and Ronnie Earl. Oh my gosh, the list goes on and on. Albert Collins, Robert Cray, you know, just so many different players. I can't say that one particular was my favorite, because how can you do that, right? Yeah. Jimi Hendrix and just so many, you know, the rock 70s rock bands. And, you know, I'm still, although I grew up in the 80s, I'm not much of an 80s, you know, person. So I'm still going back to the 70s whenever I can.
Well, that's when the good music was,
you know,
going.
That's just something I like, that sound. And so it's just hard to pick what was the influential guitar player. But yeah, all the good stuff, yeah. You know, funk and rock, and of course, you know, Nina Simone and Coco Taylor and Etta James, and I mean just different singers and guitar players and bands, War, Mandrill. I always loved big bands. I always loved great horn arrangements, you know, Chicago back in the day, you know, just good horn parts, you know. I like it, you know, I like to hear them being tight and being inspirational, you know, not just the regular horn parts, everything that's different. I like that. I like to double horn parts with my playing when I can. It's also, you learn a lot from that, you know, on your instrument. If you learn from other instruments, if you take a piano or you take a horn part and try to nail it down on your guitar, it just makes you a better player.
Yeah. I read that graphic design was your kind of the path that you were on, and I know that you played music too all through that time that you were going through the graphic design build up. But where did that crossroads happen for you? When did you say, I'm no longer a graphic designer, I'm now a guitar player?
That was in Holland when I got invited to study jazz guitar. And I was invited to keep studying design with a you know, it was a very good school, but I turned it down and I went full-time guitar. But before that, I was studying. I finished graduate graphic design in Belgrade, and while I was playing with my first band, Hush, and yeah, it was just wonderful times. You know, we would play till 5 a.m. and then at 8 a.m. I was already at the graphic design class. So it was not a lot of sleep these 3 years, but I loved it. I'm still very, very much into design, very much into interior architecture. Actually, we just built a house in Los Angeles from the ground, my husband and I, and we did use the architect, but all the plans came from me and him, and we are really much into that. And then all the interior came from us, and it's ultra modern, and everybody who comes to the house, you know, they're like, who did you hire? Well, nobody, it was us. So, because I love it. You know, I'm really much in tune with what's going on as far as the interior and architecture in the world today. And I can't help it. It's my second passion.
But
it's absolutely second passion,
yeah,
because I keep music. I keep always focus on my music. But every little time I have on my hands, that's design websites, new stuff, what's going on the interior, graphic design, and yeah, that's just my passion.
It shows in your music. That's one thing when I read that, and I kind of put that back to your music. It shows that there's a design element of that. You're not just playing, you're not just noodling. You are actually designing those parts, and especially as you talk about how you play along with the horn parts and stuff. Your band does that extremely well together, and I highly enjoy that. So it fits together for me, and I'm glad to hear you say that you did not leave behind your design elements, because obviously it's in everything you play.
Yes,
yeah,
yes, you can say that.
So I'd be curious to, you know, growing up in your family like you did, what does your dad have to say now that you've gone on these 20 years and doing all these shows and found this level of success? How does he feel about that now?
Oh, he loves it. You know, he's a fan, and he loves it. He's been with me so many times to the States. He's a huge fan, of course, of American way of life and music and everything. Basically, he wants to be on this continent right here. Not to be really, because he's got his life back home, but every chance he gets, that's, you know, the States is a place for him. Yeah, you know, he always would find a way to get me back on track as far as the music, you know, because it's been a long time. And I remember I was just telling the guys that the other day, I remember when I was buying my first apartment back when I'm, you know, in Holland, I don't know how many years ago. And I was so into that, you know, it was exciting. You know, you can actually own an apartment. That was just very difficult back where I come from, you know. So suddenly you have this amazing place and you can actually afford it. Being a musician, that's incredible. So I was just so excited what I'm going to do in the interior. And then he would, like, I would talk to him, we're going to buy this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do the kitchen this way. And he would just tell me, hey, why don't you take some time and invest something in your career? Just like go buy some stage clothes or something. You know, it was interesting. He would always find a way, and not rude or anything, just to get me back on track, because this is your main thing. Like, who cares about the house? That's not important. Like, what's going to be on the next record, you know? Yeah. And, you know, that's a guy from Serbia who knows how to value, you know, you being able to have to actually own an apartment, right? So I mean, I was just telling that to the guys. My dad always, you know, always found a way to talk to me about music, even when he sees I'm somewhere else. Obviously, I have 2 kids and a husband, and, you know, we always go back, especially when I was in Belgrade, we go back to that. What was that back before I left? And that's how the record came about, the one that I did with him. It was our time, right? It was our time away from the family. We just booked a studio in Tennessee and went and spent the week there jamming, just like in the good old days. That's great. I love that story. That's my dad was really influential on me, and my uncle was a one-man band that played 6 instruments at the same time. So that stuff from those early days has stuck with us. And I know that has influenced you greatly in your playing. 7 nominations for the Blues Rock Artist. Yes. That's amazing, from the Blues Music Awards, right? Yes. Were they not paying close enough attention to let you win at least one of them? Right. That's 7 times. I mean, let's give Anna a chance at least one time. Oh my gosh, I know artists that's been nominated 20, 30 times, you know. Yeah, I'm not, you know, to me is important in a way, and it's wonderful to be recognized. Again, I'm somebody who's coming from Serbia. I'm the only non-American artist there over and over again, or one of the very few. And, you know, women are becoming stronger every year, which is great to see. That was different back in the day. So I'm just grateful, you know, that they recognize it. Again, I'm playing my music that's not always blues, you know, it's very based on blues and blue note, and then it goes all over, and that's what my audience is used to. So it's just wonderful. Yeah, it's just wonderful to see, you know, nowadays there's so many great bands, so many great musicians. The fact that, you know, the record companies stopped being such a major thing in music, it gives a lot of freedom to the artist to really go for after they want. Now, if you give that to an artist, he's going to master his craft. So nowadays you see incredible bands on the bills and great records because they got the freedom, you know, to do what they feel. So I'm very honored. You know, there's a lot of incredible bands out there and artists. So here, our little place in the American blues and rock, you know, world.
Yeah, 7 nominations. That's something to be proud of. That's really great. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You and Mark have a unique situation. He's your manager, and then you have 2 budding rock stars at home. I saw some videos of you guys when the lockdown first started, of you playing with your kids, which I thought that was really, really cool. So it's a truly unique situation now where your whole family's involved in your music as well. So how does that work with your family?
Oh, well, it's been working now for a long time because you know, we've been married for a long time, and the kids are just, that's how they're used to. You know, dad is at home and he has a job and he makes sure mom gets to play. And then whenever the tour gets too long, they join me. Although they really don't want to join me. The last time I had tickets booked to, I don't know where it was Florida, I think, and they just, Mark says, they came downstairs from their rooms and they're like, formed this united front and said, we don't want to go. We don't want to go to Florida. We got soccer tournaments and we just want to stay. So the tickets were booked and they didn't come. And, you know, that's like with age, it's like, Mom, you let her do her thing. We got our life here. So hopefully they'll join me. Well, they will join me in Portugal next month because it's spring break and there's no soccer. So they're going to join. We got the tickets and everything. So whole family's coming, by the way. So yeah, it's been working amazing. You know, I mean, I have such an incredible support from my husband. Otherwise, you know, you can't do that as a woman, you know, unless you have that support from somebody. Right. So yeah, we, you know, he makes sure the agenda is full, not too full. Okay, now it's crazy full, but there's been 2 years of you know, lockdown and whatever pandemic. So those concerts kept on being postponed, and now you got, I mean, it's crazy full this year, but usually it's not that full, and he makes sure I you know, write concerts, and he knows what I want to play, and I don't want to be bothered with that side of music business. I want to be just bothered with music. So he talks to all the agents. We got many agencies that call him, and then we kind of pick and choose. He does, and then if there is, you know, a question mark, you want to be in Paris tonight or you want to be in New York City, then I can answer that.
Tough choice to have.
Right? We do have those, like, okay, well, we can be here, we can be here. So, you know, we do it. We're so used to that. And yeah, all the business side, all the you know, that's all him, and all the music is me.
Great to have somebody that's unequivocally on your side like that, right? That you know he's always got your back. He's not just a business manager. He's got an inherent interest in making sure that you get where you need to go.
And also he knows when there is certain questions that he needs to check that with me, because it's important that I make that decision. Otherwise, he gets it later. He gets he's going to pay for it.
Yeah. Well, just a few more minutes, but I did want to talk about the Live for Live DVD and CD set. That's one of your most recent projects. I know you have a new record coming out and you're working on that here pretty soon, but tell us about the Live for Live project. That was a big one.
Yes, it was. It was 10 years since I released DVD. and band is so great, and everybody's asking for live. Where's live? It's an incredible band. Why you sound so different live than you sound on a CD? We want the live. Okay, well, it was time. And just before the pandemic, we were in Europe, so that's my European side of the band. So it's usually the rhythm section and I that do all year round, both sides of the ocean. And then I have a Hammond player and a horn section in Europe, and they've been with me for 15 years. Hammond player and 10. I guess, horn section. And then we got the same setup here. And all of them are just incredible. I don't know, what's better. I know I recorded one in Europe, and I know it's time to record one in the States. But all of these musicians are just incredible. And I haven't seen, actually, the horn section for 2 years because of pandemic. So it's going to be the first tour now that we're going to actually promote the DVD with those players that recorded it. But yeah, it was just wonderful. It was just before the pandemic. We recorded in south of France. And then the pandemic hit, and we already had a name for it, Live for Live, because we live for live. We live for playing live. And then the pandemic hit, and we were like, yeah, that really reassured us what we already knew. So it came out during the pandemic, and we sent so many copies all over the world because people couldn't watch any live concerts. So here's a new one from Anna Popovic after 10 years. So we shipped many at times when even like the post offices didn't deliver on time, and it was just the craziest moment to release, but it was great. And I'm very proud of that DVD. Yeah. It's all about that. I am the generation where we would kind of sit around the TV and watch Clapton's video, VHS or Stevie or, B.B. King. We sit down. So I'm that generation. I want to have a good one that is going to capture what I'm doing with these people. So, I don't know how long people will have DVD players, but I definitely am happy we recorded something with 6 cameras and then on to the next one, But it's a wonderful capture of just the intensity, and the great energy that band puts. And, you can only hope that it's on the right evening. When you do it like that, you hope it's going to be the right audience, the right sound, the right camera, and the right, and of course, the right energy. Not every night is the same. So you want to hope that you capture the right night.
Right.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, we've been together as a Cordial and an endorsing artist for a little over, I think, about a year now. And so I'd ask you a little bit about your guitar rig and how Cordial fits into your sound when you use the cables. I know sometimes you go wireless. I've seen you do that a little bit, right? But when you do use the cables, how do they fit into your sound?
Well, I want something that's got the clarity, where the sustain, comes across the way I want it. I don't want no crackling sounds. You see, I use a lot of old pedals, and they don't help the situation. So I like the old pedals that they don't make anymore. I love the old chorus with 2 buttons, Boss, and the tube screamers, the original ones, and stuff like that. So I need everything in between to be just correct. And it's wonderful. I'm still exploring. I'm going to try some new ones and let you know how that works. I love that you guys are, because I'm a designer, you see, I like those colors. Oh, yeah. I like all of that you guys are doing. That's not very often seen anywhere else. And I'd love to try some of these down. I love the fact that they're thinner than the ones I've been having now for a year. So I'm looking forward to that. And I think it's a great tone. I mean, I tried so many different ones, and I know when it's not a good cable. I can tell you that.
Yeah, we've heard that story a lot.
And you guys are definitely there with the best of them. So
I think we need to get you hooked up with some pedal board cables. That'll be the next thing I'll send you.
Yeah, I need that for sure. Yeah. And yeah, so you are with the best of them. So I'm happy to be the endorser, and thank you for having me on your roster.
Yeah, well, we will next month in April 2022 Pathways. You will be the featured artist, so we'll have a good spot for you in there as well. And then I think we also featured one of your videos. I think we featured the teaser that you have for Live for Live, Live for Live in that video. So I know that you have a show to get to. So we
Okay.
don't want to keep you much longer, but we did want to really thank you for joining us in our town. I know that you got
Yeah.
so much going on, and it's just an honor to get to spend some time with you.
Oh,
We have
thank
not
you.
met yet. This is the first time. We met a little bit over Skype, I think.
Yeah,
but
yeah. Thank you.
to actually have you in our small town is a big deal for us.
It's
So
lovely.
yeah.
I mean, the nature is incredible. Just the most beautiful drive from Sisters, Oregon to here. We went through snow, snowstorm, nice weather, greenery, white mountains, everything. So it's amazing.
Now you know why we live here.
I love it.